Jeffrey Boardman, welcome to our conversation about this challenging situation. I know you've been helping a lot of people to stay grounded, to stay healthy during this challenging and transformational time. And thank you so much for taking your time to share with us various practices that we can implement, and also how to come out stronger from this challenging experience. Welcome.
Yes. Grateful to be here. Thank you. Thank you.
So,
It's a conversation that I think we should all be having right now. So I'm happy to get to be a part of it with you.
Yeah. I think there's definitely so much, negative news and people talking, which is normal. People talking about the virus and how it's affecting everyone, and people losing lives in their financial hood. It's a challenging time, but it would be great to spice it up with some positivity, some practices, some ways to look at this, so we can all have proper balance, maintain a good mental hygiene. So first of all, I mean, what are your thoughts? What's missing right now? What can we focus on? What kind of intention can we set for this period of time?
Beautiful. So many things come to mind to answer that question. And so here in the States, we are, for the most part, I'm in California, so my state is, but most of the United States are also being directed to stay at home, to avoid contact with other people as much as possible, so that we can sort of, control the flow of viral spread. With that being said, a lot of people are at home and uncertain what to do right now with all this time. And one of the things that I know to be true for all of the successful people that I've coached in my career, all have what they call their morning routine. And a morning routine for them is a ritual of the first thing they do every day. And those morning routines consist of many different things, but each individual takes sort of their own recipe and makes it work. But that could involve some prayer, some meditation, some music, some positive reading, daily devotions, daily affirmations, creativity and artistic expression, that those people do every day when they get up at 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning before they go out and face their day, in whatever form that takes for the individual. They know that they have to establish for themselves a wholeness of self and a relationship with self before they go out and accomplish what they're setting out to accomplish. I say that because I think now, certainly here in the States, but wherever anybody is, if they're required to isolate, setting that intention of set that into place right now in your life. If it's already there, do it for longer. If you have been waiting or thinking, gee, I wish I could get up early and do these things, now is the perfect time to start getting that into place in your life. And even though ideally, when the time, as life unfolds, each of us will have that going for the rest of our lives. You'll have some sort of routine that's sacrosanct, that's holy, if you will, that you get up first thing and establish yourself and take an hour, ideally. 45 minutes is the poquito. But, right now, take 2 hours. If you've got the time, take that opportunity to get those things going. And with that in mind, let's talk about what you might include in that ritual for yourself right now, given the world that we're looking at and how things are going. So again, take this opportunity to put into life things that you have been waiting for the chance to do. So if that's exercise, if that is, communication with your kids, if that is, take the time right now that you're being forced to sort of stay home and build the things that you want in your life going forward. So that's just sort of my framework for this. This is the long-term goal of how to positively use this time, or things you might want to ultimately use this time to accomplish for yourself. But in this case, where I'm spending my time in meditation and thinking and even choosing what I'm reading because, you know, I'm making choices that sort of give context and perspective to these times that we're in right now. I'm thinking about the historical aspects of what we're living in. We are living in a time of history that, in a way, is unprecedented. You know, former epidemics, pandemics have happened in history that took a year or 2 years to move around the globe. And people were caught unawares because there was no way of having communication with what was happening thousands and thousands of miles away. But somehow, over the course of time, so we are in a very historical and unique period of time to have a pandemic happen where we have all of this connectivity and all of this ability to be informed and aware and connected. And so I'm thinking of how 500 years from now, how will this time be viewed? And if you think about it, more than ever, we have the opportunity to leave a message to the future. This is what it was like. This is what we did. This is how we managed it. This is how we managed ourselves. People are going to look at this time, and now we have all of this connected, recorded video that people will be able to observe. Social scientists and epidemiologists and political scientists and economists that are all going to look back at what happened, what we did, how we managed in the middle of it. So we, in a way, through our experience right now, get to teach the future how to do this well. If, in fact, what we decide is, that is my plan here, that's my goal here, is to manage myself in the most effective manner within my household, within my family, within my community, within my country, within my global citizenship, managing myself for a historical outcome that I want to see happen. So, which takes me to the next level of it. It isn't just a matter of a letter to the future, this is what we did. How about I'm also thinking that because this is a historical pivot, this is a shift time in the history of our globe, and whether it's globalization or universal health care or, you know, the migration of population around the planet, whatever's coming out of this, I think we all should take the viewpoint that I have a role to play in how this goes. I have a role to play in what becomes out of this, because, and what the heck, even if it turns out I don't, at least my thinking was on that subject, and my actions were taken with that idea that there will be a ripple effect. The way I already know there's going to be a ripple effect. We know that. That's, you know, that's pretty self-evident. My ability to contribute to that ripple effect is what I'm thinking about, what I'm meditating about, what I'm doing in my morning ritual, is taking those things into context so that then the actions that I do throughout the day, the things I think about, the news I choose to look at, the interactions that I have in my community, even at 6 feet away from somebody else, those things are all informed by that preparation that I do in the morning that gets me back into context that this isn't just a terrible calamity and gee, I just have to get through it. Of course we'll get through it. I get to have some say in how it goes, at least in my environment, for sure. And then in the orbit that I rotate in throughout the world, I have some say in how those interactions go and then what they create from there. So each of us has that power of influence over how things are going to go in the future. And so that is the context that I'm using to define what my morning routine consists of. But again, it doesn't have to be in the morning right now because you have all day. But think about using this quarantine time, this self-isolation time, as an opportunity to put into your life things that you were always hoping you would sort of get the chance or the opportunity to do. Here's your opportunity to become a better person. Here's your opportunity to have more control over your thinking and more control over your environment, because all you have to do is master yourself in your environment, and that's it. So
That could be a
There's,
pretty challenging task to master
yeah,
yourself in your own environment where,
yes,
you know, I
yes,
don't think I've ever spent this much time inside of a confined place.
yeah. But what a beautiful opportunity, isn't it? Because
Yeah,
really, we all understand that mastering ourselves in our environment is the key to how things go in our life. I mean, we may not be able to control all the circumstances around us, but we certainly have a lot of influence on how those conditions and circumstances treat us. And
yeah,
that's daily life. That's not that it's very simple and basic, although it's very complicated and difficult. The theory is simple, the application is difficult. But here we have this most um, a pressure cooker kind of opportunity to really learn who we are and figure things out for ourselves in a way that will change how we live for the rest of our lives. There's no question about that. There's no question about
absolutely.
that. Yeah.
So, I mean, I really like the way we took a step back and evaluated a grander perspective of this. You know, like you said, creating something that will be meaningful in the next 100 years. Focusing on things that are truly important. Mastering your own environment to make sure that you are controlling your day, you're controlling how you show up in a day, how you show up with others. You may be,
Mm-hmm.
some people may be right now
Mm-hmm.
alone in their space, while others are too many, with
Mm-hmm.
kids and
Mm-hmm.
spouses, so
Yes.
everybody has their own environment to deal with. And I agree with you. It's very important how you set it up, because before we were able to just, let's say, leave the house for the entire day, come back in the evening, watch a TV show and go to bed. And
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of things that we didn't have to deal with. Now there is no distraction, there is no escape. We are where we need to be. We are with the
Mm-hmm.
people that we need to be. And a lot of things are getting resolved right now. And
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, not always in a good way,
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
that's why I wanted to ask you about establishing different rituals, different practices. And we can start simple too. I mean, hopefully we'll have a chance to talk again where we can go more in depth on certain practices,
Great.
but maybe
Great.
today we can focus on how to, let's say when we wake up, how to set intention for the day, a couple practices that maybe you apply yourself, and then
Mm-hmm.
you recommend to some of your clients
Mm-hmm.
to start the day, and I can share
Mm-hmm.
some things that I do because I had to
Great.
step
I would
up a
love that.
lot with my practices because it's a transformational time. And I am not a
Yes.
saint. I also have my moments when I just want to, just go nuts here.
Definitely. Yes. It's in that, as I was saying, in the context of it informing what I'm reading, some of the things that I've been reading about are past times where there were epidemics, pandemics on the planet, and other calamities that we had to rebuild from. And the human race took stock of the conditions that they were in, whether it was in a microcosm or, on a broader scale, and, decided what they were going to do and what they were going to be. In fact, when you're talking about what are my daily practices,
Rituals. Mhm.
rituals, things that are in there, it was during a plague outbreak in England that Isaac Newton, went off to the countryside and actually developed his theories for gravity, as well as calculus, as well as a number of other uh, things that we now, we travel in space because of the understandings that he acquired in his practices during a time just like this, a quarantining where, or an exodus from the city for this very purpose. And what made me think of that when you just said about daily practices, there are things that will keep you healthy and will keep you clear and will keep you in a place of love and will keep you in a place of generosity and gratitude. Those things in your life, whatever they may be, whether that's sitting down and reading to a child, whether that's going, get some paints and, express yourself in some form of art, whatever that might be.
Exactly what I started doing today, painting.
Beautiful, beautiful. In fact, I don't have. When I was a child, I studied some piano, and I'm not. What I discovered in that study was that I have no innate talent to it, and don't really do any. But it was just the other day I was thinking, gee, it would be interesting to have a keyboard right now to just sort of work through some of those emotions within musicality, how those emotions would sound if they had music to them. And a lot of advanced thinkers throughout history have, in fact, Da Vinci used to put color to his emotions. And one of the ways he became such a brilliant painter, although he was really a scientist he was an architect and an engineer and sort of a scientific naturalist and researcher. But we think of him as a painter because what he came to do was start to put a color to his emotions that he would then just sort of, on his finger, put color to what he was feeling so that he could start to identify his emotions and his feelings and his thoughts in a way that then there was a visual creation of his internal experience. And that, I think, would be something that everybody should consider taking time to do, whether that's, I know it's hard to go to the art store right now. That wouldn't be considered an essential travel, at least in my neighborhood. But, if you have some Play-Doh, if you've got kids that have toys or, sidewalk chalk or anything that, as a grown-up that you can go take, possession of from your child, and even take your kids with you if that, and go, express your emotions in a format that isn't your normal tool. It isn't normally how you express, but that will get us in touch with the things of purity within us and the things of wholeness within us in a way that then we can start to get deeper and deeper into that space. And so that those become more of our rooted responses, or our responses become more rooted in those places within ourselves. So that then as we're watching the news, as we're interacting with those that we love, either via distance or telephone, and we hear things and we have our natural responses to them. If I can respond from a deeper place of patience, of love, of generosity, and ideally gratitude, then things shift. The way that circumstances unfold in my life, it's different, and I know it is. So to answer your question, that's the long version of the answer of your question. Things that will allow you to get in touch with your emotions in a way that you get in touch with the true part of yourself, that you're good, you're okay, that there's a universe that loves you and supports you and holds you and isn't going to drop you now. I mean, of course, those are intellectual truths that we can contemplate, but get to a place where you feel that and go into use tools that get you there. And that may be, for the athlete, that may be, use yoga instead of football, or, use some deep breathing exercises instead of push-ups, or do both. But, as a total separate thing, I would absolutely say one of the things you would want to also consider doing with this time at home is putting some sort of fitness activity in it. If you can't get out, ideally out about in your neighborhood and go for a walk. And, we all know how thinkers say, I need to go take a walk and think about this. And so there's great value in going outside and almost in a meditative state. And you're forced to be by yourself, so take advantage of that. And really just contemplate, again, the historical aspect of our current situation, the needs of your children in your life that are going to need explanation and guidance and patience and love and interest way greater than just the average upbringing might suggest. This is a new world that we're going to shape for them, and they have to understand how to function in that. Those are the things you might want to think about while you're out on a long walk. And that could be something that you easily put into your routine. That, again, are these things that practices that you want to put into place. So again, ideally they're in place for the rest of your life going forward, but now where you're under this great level of pressure to think and to resolve and to get clear about what's happening, this is the best time to search and find out what it is that really gets you in contact with your higher self. And again, for me, that is meditation, prayer. I certainly am always have, you can't see, but 10, 12, 15 books that I'm currently working through a little bit at a time, that the information is enough for me to go, either it gets my thinking straight and back onto a positive path, or it's enough for me to think about and contemplate and just see, how can I embrace that little nugget of truth that I just encountered and import that into my life and, have a better understanding of it. And I put that book down and I think about that for a while. So those are some of the things that I would encourage, that again, we have this time that's unprecedented in really the history of the world. There's so much information available and so many online tools available, so many places you can go if you don't know how to meditate, if you don't know how to do something, if you don't practice yoga, but this would be a good time to start thinking, or some deep breathing work. Boy, all you got to do is Google about 3 words and you got 400,000 options right in front of you in every language and in every technique. So, take advantage.
The beauty of this situation is that there's definitely so much more available online, and there's a lot of people out there really being of service and offering their teachings and whatever skills they have. They are offering it online. A lot of them are offering for free. I know there's a lot of communities are being put together to share and show support. So, we can definitely focus on all the brutal things that are going on in the world, but also we can focus on how much everyone is doing for each other and for the, how this community is bonding. And, just like you're volunteering your time to create this bigger perspective of what's going on. It's very easy to get sucked into everyday drama and just be overwhelmed with negativity. But it's important to take a step back, take a deep breathe, and just understand the bigger perspective of this, and that we're not alone, that we will be taken care of, and there's certain things that we can do throughout the day to remind ourselves about that.
Yes. What you just said is so true, that, the ultimate heart of all mankind is good. And, we respond out of fear of situations, or, we create negative circumstances happen out of just sort of short-term understanding. But the ultimate is that people are going to rise. And just like you're saying, all over the globe, all over the world, we're looking at people's opportunities to rise. It brings tears to my eyes when I see on the news how in different countries, people are coming out onto their patios or coming out into the yard and applauding their healthcare workers and supporting their communities in so many different ways, just like that. It's just so beautiful. But I think that we have the opportunity to decide how this goes. This can descend into a very dark time in history, economic woes and social woes and separation and fences around ourselves, or this can be, a real period of enlightenment. It could be a real change in how we operate on this planet. And just what you describe is exactly happening. People are finding from within, this is what I have to contribute. Let me give this to my community and any community member that can avail themselves of it. Let me share what I know. Let me share what I do. Let me just pray for you. Let me just meditate for you. Let me just make sure there's food, resources around you. And, what you say is so true, that, this is every day. Take advantage of something new that teaches you how to be a better person, that teaches you how to be more the whole, full individual that you know in your heart that you are. You know, let's truly make this if it's not the dawn, it is an opportunity for it to be a real day of enlightenment on our planet.
Wow. Thank you, Jeffrey. I think it's very important to hear these words. It's important to set this as an intention, maybe every day when we wake up, to set this as intention and to contribute to this era of enlightenment, you know, with our personal practices. Even if let's say a person doesn't go online and share stuff, even if it's just for yourself, you know, there is collective consciousness. Everything goes into that bank, you know, and so
Absolutely.
any addiction that you overcome, any bad habit, any procrastination, everything counts. And you know, we're here to help and support. Hopefully we can connect next week and expand further and go deeper into gratitude practices and
Yes.
so much more that we normally discuss. So for now, thank you, Jeffrey, so much for your inspiration.
I want to just touch on one thing you just said, because it's probably the
Let's
most
do it.
important aspect of our whole conversation this morning, is that every little bit counts. If all I do is keep myself healthy and alive and in a place of love and a place of gratitude, I'm doing that for you. I'm doing that for every other person on the planet. There is a collective vibration to this planet, to this quadrant of the universe. Every little bit that each one of us does to keep that elevation, to keep that vibration, to keep that place of happening, you're doing it for everybody. So those days when it's so dark and you feel like, what can I do? How can I help? Or this is so overwhelming. How am I ever going to get out of this? Just figure out a way to vibrate high and you're doing your job.
And that's why I like talking to you, Jeffrey.
Thank you.
Surround yourself with people that elevate your vibration.
There you go.
We'll connect soon. For now, thank you so much for your time, Jeffrey, for everything that you do for your community and for sharing with our community as well. I really appreciate it.
My honor, I assure you. Thank you.
Talk to you soon.
Yes.